"What is it?" Shawn asked, returning from work tired and hungry. His wife was standing in the doorway, looking at him like he was the enemy. There was a carelessly abandoned suitcase near the front door. Obviously, it was not empty. "Should I take out the trash or what?" "You're the main trash here," Lily shouted and looked at him angrily. Shawn did not understand what kind of joke this was, why she suddenly began to behave as if he was not her beloved husband, but a neighbor who owed her a lot of money and came to ask for more. "What happened?" the man asked, looking at his wife. His daughter peeked out of her room, looked at him pitifully, and headed into the kitchen. Shawn tried to go into the apartment but failed because he simply could not push his wife away and use force against her. "You've been bringing in beggarly wages for 6 months now. Do you like being a longshoreman that much? Really? So go live somewhere else. I don't need a freeloader. I want to live, travel, and buy beautiful clothes." Shawn shrugged his shoulders. He reflected and remembered how many times his wife had called him worthless and told him she wanted nothing to do with him. She used to say that before, so the man simply paid no attention to what she said. He thought it was the typical woman's grumpiness common to almost all the wives. He had heard about it from his friends too. Except, now it had gone too far. She simply packed up his belongings and slammed the door in his face. He didn't want to be humiliated and beg forgiveness for something that wasn't his fault. He decided that his wife would come to her senses, and when she realizes that she was wrong, she will definitely ask him to come back. While it was summer, he decided he would live in the garage. That's where the man headed. Throwing his bags in the garage, he went to the nearest store, bought some lemonade and 2 sandwiches for dinner, and headed to his new dwelling. He was hoping the rats didn't already settle there, because there wasn't enough food even for himself. Pulling an old cot out of the corner, Shawn was glad deep in his heart that he hadn't thrown it away. Shawn used this old cot a lot. At first, he slept on it when he lived alone, and then when his apartment was sold, he was going to sell the cot or leave it to the new owners of the apartment. However, he could not part with it. His wife resented it. She said she didn't need that junk on the balcony, but Shawn hastened to calm her down by telling her about his garage, which could be used as a storage unit because they didn't have a car anyway. Several days passed, but it seemed as if his wife had no plans to apologize. She acted as if she had taken him out of her life. Shawn tried to see his daughter, but she defiantly walked by, only glancing around and saying that she wouldn't talk to a father who couldn't provide for his family. "You cannot even buy me a decent phone. I have an old model, as if it was from the last century," said the daughter. And the son did not say anything at all, just passed by. Shawn went back to the garage and reflected. He realized that his salary was not enough to support his family and provide them with everything they needed. Once, he had naively thought that love and understanding were enough for life. They never starved, and there was always good food in the fridge. But everyone had different needs, and that also had to be taken into account. His son had long wanted a hoverboard, and his daughter kept repeating that she wanted an iPhone so that she could record good quality videos for social media, just like her classmates do. His son was only 12 and his daughter was 14, but their demands were like they were adults. Lily, who worked as a realtor, could afford to give expensive gifts to her children. When Shawn was fired from his main job and couldn't find a place with the same salary and got a job as a longshoreman, his wife began to separate the gifts, saying, "I'll give my son a birthday present from myself, and you can buy whatever you want." As a result, she gave him a new video card for a computer with special features for gamers, and Shawn could only buy his son an inexpensive quadcopter, which was no longer interesting to him, and he threw it on the shelf saying, "Now everyone has quadcopters with helicopters, but this one is some kind of prehistoric." Shawn began to think that he had actually relaxed a bit by getting a job as a longshoreman. The work required physical activity, but at the same time, the brain was off. So the man, tired of working in the office and drawing diagrams for construction projects, was in no hurry to look for a new job. He shouldn't have relaxed. In 6 months, his life had turned into a living hell. He remembered how his wife had met him with a delicious dinner before, and tears came to the corner of his eyes. The man realized that he had ruined his life himself, so he opened his phone and began to add his resume to various employment websites. Not many people responded, and those who were willing to hire him offered such conditions that he wanted to cry and laugh at the same time. It was ironic, as a longshoreman, he he made much more money than he had been promised at the office. As a result, he started thinking in a different direction and decided to start placing ads for loading services. He got the first call the same day. Shawn was helping a family move furniture and got paid quite well. From then on, he was invited to work together with other loaders, and sometimes he could earn a lot of money in just one day. He dreamed of coming home, giving his family the presents they had dreamed of and moving in again, and they would be happy to have him back. The situation got better every day, and after a month, the man was able to organize the work of the loaders himself. He worked as a loader himself, but he also made arrangements with people he knew who could help with the loading work, and he also called truck drivers, and those who were available at the moment went out to earn some money. In 2 months, Shawn made a decent amount of money. It was the sum of money he hadn't seen even when he was working as an engineer, and now he was happily thinking about what he would buy for his family, who had never even called him to ask how he was doing and if he needed anything. Shawn bought his wife earrings, which she had dreamt of for months, saying that when the salary of the longshoreman will let him, he should buy it for her. He also bought his son a hoverboard, one of the best but not the most expensive, and also at a discount, he got a new phone for his daughter. The seller assured him that this model has the best camera, and the price is perfect for this model. After he bought the presents, Shawn headed home. As he approached the familiar bus stop, the man began to feel an emptiness inside. Somewhere deep inside, he knew that no one was waiting for him. If he returned without money, he was unlikely to be warmly welcomed. The resentment suddenly burst like a hot flame in his chest, but the man tried to calm himself. He was already 40, and he had to fix relations with his family so that he would not be alone in his old age. After paying for the ride, he got off at the bus stop. The man headed toward the familiar building. There was still a heaviness inside, but he was hoping he could get rid of it as soon as he saw his family. He didn't see them for a long time, and he was afraid to see them again. That was how the man consoled himself. When he got to the apartment, Shawn knocked on the door, hesitating to open it with his key, since they could change the lock long ago. His wife opened the door and looked him over with an arrogant look. Cold ran through his heart, turning it into a block of ice and breaking it into pieces. "Lily, here I am, with presents." The woman stepped aside to let him into the apartment. She certainly did not look very well. Perhaps the real estate business was going badly, because it was the season when nobody bought much of anything, and the crisis hit the country with a new wave. "What did you bring? Some trinkets no one needs?" Lily asked angrily. "You tell me." Shawn shook his hands. "Are the kids home?" "Yes, but I don't think they want to see you." His son and daughter reluctantly came out of the room when the mother called and looked at the father. The man took out a present for his daughter first, handed it to her, and she hugged him with a joyful squeal. Then he handed the box with the earrings to his wife, and then gave the bag to his son, as it contained the largest box. The son began to shake his father's hand admiringly and looked at the toy he had dreamt of. The wife looked at the husband with a wide smile, and Shawn looked at them and realized that he did not want to come back to such a family. What would happen if another crisis would catch him unaware? Would they support him in his old age? Probably not, because they had pushed him out of the door, and they didn't even want to hear anything about him. What would they do if he was infirm and needed their help? They would probably throw him out on the street, forgetting that they had a father. Looking at them, Shawn sighed heavily. Lily invited him to have dinner with them and told him that he had lost a lot of weight since they hadn't seen each other. She asked him how he had managed to save up for such expensive gifts and if he had taken out a loan. But he didn't want to say anything. After looking at his family, the man dropped his head and looked at them again after making a difficult decision. "I only came to bring presents, and that's it. I wasn't planning on coming back. I realize that I am better off living alone. Don't be offended." The man left the apartment, and his wife followed him, screaming about how wrong he was, that he shouldn't do that, and that now she would definitely file for alimony. But he didn't listen to her. Shawn was suddenly relieved. He realized that he didn't have much money left now, but tomorrow he and the boys would make some more money, and he will look for an apartment to rent. And then perhaps he would start his own trucking company and be able to ensure a decent retirement and support his children, because even if they didn't need him, they were still his children and he loved them, even though he knew the feeling was unrequited.